What up? What up? What up? It is another episode of the Shark Cove. It's Super Week. It's the last week of the split. We've got a four gamer here. I've got four people to talk about a four gamer, but I will tell you, we have been absolutely spoiled by the amount of 5 game slates. These four gamers, they feel disgusting. This slate's disgusting. The gameplay from Wii last night was disgusting. I'm certainly not launching an investigation into their gameplay, but I will say that it was slightly suspect. But they are a bad team, so maybe that's okay. Let's bring in the panel today. So making yet another appearance here is Mr. Moose with his red lights, even though it's green for St. Patrick's Day. Why would you not run green in the back?
Hold on, I can change it. I can change it. Wait, I can change it. I'll change it. Bring in other people.
Okay, awesome. Well, good. Fantastic. So we've got two first-timers today. Again, I reached out to a couple people because I did such a bad job of it for several weeks. We've got a first-time panelist, long-time viewer. I mean, as long as anybody could be, I guess. We've got, him on Twitter as Brewer IPA. We're in the Golden Guardians kind of jersey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Welcome to the Cove.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we've got another first-time panelist, a new member of the esports department Discord, and one of our former panelists, one of our viewers' favorite person. We've got Javi from FTN. How's it going, man?
What's going on, man? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk some esports here, man. Good to see Brewer here too, so we can shoot the shit a little bit,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brewer was supposed to be here on Tuesday, but then we had a 2-game slate, and so it got messed up. But I think it worked out for the best, and we'll jump right into this slate. So, guys, this is not a slate that I feel like super happy about. A lot of times there are some, close games, some upsets, and that's kind of why I do like these 5-game slates that we've been having, because it does offer a little bit of diversity, but that's just not the case today. We've got some massive, massive favorites. Let's start off with the first game. What are your thoughts, Moose? We've got T1 playing Sandbox, the best team in the LCK, the worst team in the LCK. We've got a team that could have some challengers. Doesn't even matter. Like, I've seen some people are the challengers playing for Sandbox? Does it matter? I still have them as a red team, even though they're yellow and black these days. They'll always be red to me.
Well, there really isn't much icing on this cake, is there? The LCK wants T1 to go undefeated, but a team has never gone undefeated before. Obviously, T1 is already going to be, I think they're already going to be doing better than the best LCK team ever with I think SKT was the one that said that only lost 3 games or something. And then this team is already only has the chance of losing 2, right? Or 1? I don't even know. I think they have 2 games left this week.
2 games left, yes.
Yeah, so the take here is, does the LCK want T1 to go undefeated, or does T1 slip and fall at the finish line? And at plus 900, I definitely want to find out.
That's a very interesting insinuation that there's some type of script, or the LCK or Kespa has some type of involvement in whether or not they win or lose. Or I would, if I was a more conspiracy-based person, I might even insinuate that you're insinuating that some of these, COVID tests could have possibly been forged. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. That's what it sounds like. Brewer, what do you think about this game? What do you think about these radical claims that Moose is making? Again, does this game even matter in the grand scheme of things?
It kind of matters. The challenger players that have been filling in have been giving up a lot more kills versus their opponents, which kind of makes me like T1 a little more if Sandbox does have some subs. Sandbox isn't live at all, in my opinion. T1's the way to go. You worry about them when they play against DRX in their final series, I think.
Okay. Javi, what do you think about this series here?
I mean, I feel bad for Sandbox. I think they stand no chance. I don't think there's any. I'm a big fan of hedging. That's what I do in League of Legends, and there's no chance I'm gonna hedge here. Like, there's not one lineup. If I do 50 lineups, I'm not doing one of Sandbox. I mean, they're averaging over 17 deaths per loss, which is the most in the LCK. They don't have the most deaths in the LCK, but that's because they have less games than NS. So, I mean, this is a team that you target against. I mean, T1 is going to – I feel like they're going to go – just because LCK, they think it's not a ton of deaths here. So, yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's tough not to play T1 here in a ton of my lineups with starters or not.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, so what the screen that I have here, guys, is this is my projections, kills, deaths in a 2-0. This is what they would do in a loss, and that goes all the way here. But these numbers are kills per win, deaths per loss. I have them at 18.6, but that's because I started them at the Lunar New Year for all of these. So if we take out what was a much slower, not much slower, but a slower start to the split. When things started to ramp up, we have seen teams get a little bloodier. And so that number has jumped from that 17th split to 18.6, but in that time frame. So, definitely a spot. I guess the concern that we have is that does T1 end up winning too quickly? Do they not hit the projected 36? Do they end up with like a 29 or a 30? Do they win in 17 or 18 minutes? Is that what they try and do? All of these things are on the board. And so those are the things that I would have concern with playing a very expensive T1. But I'm with you guys. If I was playing 90 lineups, I'd probably have like 4 or 5 of Sandbox, but I'm not playing 90 lineups, so I won't have any Sandbox. And, let's hop into kind of the next game. Another super, super kind of lopsided game, but one that tends to profile a little bit bloodier in the grand scheme of things. We've got Top Esports playing LGD, notorious feeders LGD, but they're going to Garvy in the top lane. I'm not sure that matters. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Javi, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, how long? What's the over/under that Garvy lasts more than one game? That's the question here. No, this guy, anytime he starts, if he lays an egg, he subs out for Fearness. Like, that's how it goes. I think maybe they're going to give him some run just because the season's shot for them. I don't think it matters. Like, Wayward's shown his potential. Like, I consider Zoom one of the better top laners, and he's just there's no chance he's coming back. Like, Wayward has made it ever since he was inserted in the started lineup. This team has been better. The question is which Top Esports is going to show up though. That's the question. I'm not playing any LGD either. Again, I run about 20 lineups a night, and as of right now, in my 20 lineups, I have no LGD, no Sandbox. I have one dog today. That's about it, and it's gross. This is a gross slate.
Yeah, I would say that LGD. I have them projected the highest in regards if they do manage to win this series. They're always a team that gets a ton of kills, but if they manage to take a game, I almost think that you're more likely to see a Top Esports ceiling projection just on the basis that. The games that they win are super bloody. Top gets a lot of kills when they lose. Brewer, what do you think about this game?
I think Top wins easy, but I'll have some LGD because Garvy will be essentially unowned, and that's too much of an edge for me if they win to have him a guy that nobody's going to play in their LGD stacks because of the sub risk. I'm not going to go overweight or anything. I'm just going to probably plug in a hedge lineup because I'm going to be heavy on TES and go from there.
So are you willing to sit back and take this Zoom slander? And Bellman wants to know.
Oh, no.
I've become numb to the Zoom slander, unfortunately.
Hey, I like Zoom. I thought he was one of the better top laners in the LPL. It's just
he's the best top laner in the world of all time, probably.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't fit with this TES team. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe he needs a change of scenery. Who knows?
Yeah, it's really weird. I hope he goes to Ultra Prime or something.
Oh, yeah. Gross.
Yeah, or TT. TT needs a top laner.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Will made a comment here that I'm trying to give Javi the Cove run good to stop Will's four-peat. Brewer, I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you do, but we do have a little run good. It didn't hit yesterday, so that vesting period is here. One of us needs to win a GPP, or the magic is kind of lost from the show, and I can no longer charge appearance costs come summer.
So that just means LGD wins then.
Yeah, look, hey, I mean, stranger things have happened. Like, look, when I woke up so I watched parts of the first couple games and I felt good. I was like, all right, I had a ton of Wii. I just had like every combination with Wii. I didn't realize they were going to be chalk. My mistake. I guess in retrospect, it made a ton of sense. But I went to bed thinking, man, this is going to be great. Like, I wake up and I check my box score and I look and I'm like, all right, Wii wins the first game. That's awesome. Let's check in on it. Click. I'm like, 5-3. Did the game just end? Like, this is not updated?
Yeah.
And then, I start watching the other game, and maybe I'll go back and watch the whole series. I probably won't because it was disgusting. But, in game 2, I watched some of the decision making, the pathing, where they were, and it really, really reminded me of some of my like bronze level games where I don't know why two guys were in the mid lane, not handling a wave. You got your support like in the top lane clearing out a wave when the top laner is just randomly in the jungle, not clearing up camps. It didn't make a lot of sense. I'm not saying that they threw it intentionally, but I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe they were all told they don't have jobs next year or next split. Something happened something happened.
They beat RNG. That was good enough for them, and they're ready for the offseason, is what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I'm more surprised that these two teams are eliminated from playoffs. Like, why didn't they have fun? Why didn't they just, make it bloody? That's what I was surprised at. So
I think there's a possibility that we wasn't even playing. It wasn't even them. They're remote. It could have been just some random guys playing, queued up. It was all screwed up. Like it's just a solo queue group of people that were playing. Somehow they got in there. Moose, did you watch it? Were you heartbroken like myself? In fact, I appreciated the kind words that you said to our favorite person before I could say it. After I made my joke about investigation. I obviously wasn't fucking serious.
Did you guys
I'm not on the phone with the LPL saying, "Oh, yo, we got Dennison. Okay. We gotta investigate these guys." We was not a bad pick. It didn't work out, but it wasn't a bad pick. But go ahead, Moose.
So I'm traveling a lot. So when I check Discord, I literally check it for like a second, and I'm off time with everybody else. So like, when somebody writes something, for me, it's like a different time of day. So it might be morning for you guys. It's like evening, or I'm at the gym or something. So in that scenario right there, a guy in the chat said something like, well, WE are a bad team. Of course, they would only score 5 kills and then lose. And why would anybody pick them? And I just like lost my shit. So I just wrote, shut the fuck up. That's all I wrote. I just left the chat. I just told the guy to shut the fuck up. But
I was expanding on that. I was expanding on that. Mine was a little longer, but that is how it was started. I was also in line at Dunkin' Donuts. It was, you're at the gym, I'm at Dunkin' Donuts. They don't have French crullers anymore. I don't understand why they got rid of French crullers. Maybe I was the only one that got them, and I only got them once a week. So if that's the case, I get it. But your opinion on this particular game, Top Esports, LGD.
I love this take from the Garvy take, because I got burned so bad for playing Chieftain yesterday, especially with TT winning, and I'm seeing Frigid in the lineup, and I'm just like, dude, what is this? Like, this is pissing me off so much, because like TT was like winning, they were the highest scoring team last night, and had I had Frigid, I probably would have won because I had a really nice stack, but KDF kind of underperformed too, and it was just a really weird night. I actually like tonight better than yesterday. Yesterday was weird, but two things. So first of all, so the take is that when a team gets knocked out of playoffs, when it's an LPL team, they get the LPL knocked out of playoffs team buff, where they magically become really good and beat playoff teams, right? So, like, it makes me feel like Garvy will definitely go on their own, because people got burned yesterday by Chieftain and Frigid. And then not only that, but we're going to see that buff. I guarantee you we're going to see that buff tonight. But possibly if both teams are knocked out, then they like cancel each other out and they don't play at all.
They get like the LCS buff. Like, I mean, look, that was like TSM
Really
Immortals in like summer split last year,
Dude,
where they just like faced off for like
weird.
50 minutes.
That game one was super weird, and I think it was probably because of Chieftain's calls. I think it was probably because he was calling for the team to not engage and not fight over certain objectives, and WE's clawing in the game, and they're clawing in the game and farming and doing their thing. And then after that, I think they were like, "Dude, we're just gonna sit you like we had this game won," you know. That's kind of how
Yeah,
it felt like.
I was even more confused that it was 5-3 and they only got 8 towers. I was just like, what happened here? So I definitely think I'm going to have some LGD because I mean, people are, I guess Top Esports is one of those teams. They're like IG in the sense that they let you down when you put your faith behind them, trust them. You bet futures on them because they have a great Demacia Cup, and you're like, man, they're back. And then all of a sudden, like, Zhao has a mental breakdown. He takes the mental problems that Tyon was having, and he takes them on himself, and they can't play, and they lose to RA. They lose their first game. I mean, but then they come back, and they get you up here, and maybe they'll bring us down. Maybe it'll be next week. Maybe it'll be in playoffs, but there's a letdown spot for Top Esports coming. It's not as big of a letdown spot as we had from IG, like on a regular basis. This team is something else. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, Zika is overrated. Zune has not been that great. We've got 18 different players on this team that have played. They're playing Weibo Gaming, coming in on a kind of a losing streak. We had anointed them the best team in the LPL after they beat EDG, who might not be good, guys. I mean, in context, it's so good.
Nobody's good in the LPL.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got Weibo Gaming. Now, here's an interesting spot, Moose. We've got Weibo, we've got IG. It's one of the smaller kind of odds-based games here. It's relatively bloody. All the games kind of project similarly, but they have the better kill per win, death per loss numbers, and you have a decision to make, like the best cash lineups. The best cash lineups and projections all have Weibo Gaming in them. Tell me what your thoughts are from a cash game player perspective on this Weibo Gaming team, on this IG team, and what you make of it.
So I think this game is pretty important for Weibo. Hold on. I want to go back, by the way. One point, though. Aside from Kanavi, Tien is like the hand job of junglers. I've never seen this dude play well. For some reason, this guy plays well whenever I'm not watching him. It's like he makes all these great plays, and then I watch these plays, and whenever I watch TM play, he plays like this, bro. Like he's just playing like he has something over his head, and he just has no clue. I dubbed him the first blind jungler in the LPL because like I couldn't believe it. Like he's like a Lee Sin cosplayer. So that's my take on TM. This game to me is the most interesting game on the slate, aside from the next game, which I really like because I have a thing for KT Gen. But I think overall, I don't know what Weibo is doing. Like, when you look back at their games and you look at their performances, it's almost as if they keep reinventing their team and trying to do things they're not meant to do. And I guarantee you, because I said it again and everybody looked at me on the panel, the Shy is not meant for this team. I just don't know what this guy's doing. But for some reason, when this dude clicks, and he clicks with the team just like IG, like everything goes well and it's like bonkers. Like everything just fits the puzzle, everything's perfect. The Scrabble on the board is there. But when this guy plays bad, and when that entire top lane SOFM combo doesn't play well, the whole team isn't meshing together. Angel is making weird plays on Orianna. It doesn't make any sense. Like the whole team doesn't have the kind of chemistry that I want them to have. And because of that, I'm definitely looking at IG in the spot. Invictus Gaming are the perfect team to rub it in your face when you're doing bad. I don't know what it is about Invictus, but you can never count this team out no matter how many times they lose. They could go 0-15 and fucking destroy their last game. I don't understand how this team continuously plays bad and then punches up to the competition and plays well. I said the same shit about RA yesterday. JD Gaming definitely stepped up to the spot. But this is a spot where Weibo really needs to pick up their shit, and I don't know if they're going to be able to, because even if they do, like, how many points do they score fantasy-wise? But even if they, but what are the chances that they actually clean it out? And that's kind of what you have to ask yourself. Like, are they going to be able to clean up the competition here and show strength going into the playoffs? Are they going to be able to lock up a better seed? Or are they going to let the same shit that's been happening the past couple of games get to them again?
As the resident top expert here, Brewer, I mean, what do you feel like the Shy is not made for Weibo Gaming? I mean, Moose is animated today. He's got some very aggressive language that's coming out of him. Saying the Shy is just not meant for Weibo Gaming. Who is he meant for?
The Shy is missing the T at the end of his name.
The shit.
He's people really, really hang on to 2018, and that's the only reason he's probably even still in the league. To be honest, he's been very, very hot or cold. He'll either score 100 points or 20 points on the slate in either a win or a loss. It doesn't matter. It's really strange what, like Moose was saying, what this team is trying to do. I don't know why Sword Art isn't starting. On is awful too. He leads the team in deaths. He probably leads the LPL in deaths. I haven't even looked in a while, but Angel's been a really good bright spot for this team, having his best year. Huanfeng has been kind of silent. I don't think this meta fits him quite as well as the Misfortune Jin Worlds meta that he was playing. IG is definitely live. I don't really like this IG team at all, but I mean, they've won. I mean, their last 6 series, they've won them all as dogs and lost them all as favorites. So it's the IG way.
Yeah, I can pull up that stat in a second, but this is the Shy revenge game narrative. Javi, what do you? And you said you had one dog. Is this the dog that you have, or?
Yeah, it's got to be with them struggling right now. And on still starting. That was what I was gonna. You beat me to it, Corey. Everyone's talking about the Shot. I'm talking about on. Like, this guy is bad. Like, Sword Art, he played one game, and I feel like that team looked so much better. I understand it wasn't like a crazy game. They won 2-1 against LGD, so it really didn't prove anything. But it's Sword Art. Like, this guy was in Worlds with this team that made it to the finals or the semifinals. I don't remember now. Come on, like, this guy is. I understand he played in America. His mechanics are probably way off now because he played in the LCS for a bit. But still, this guy is better than On. I don't know why he's not playing. It blows my mind. With Lumao on LNG, I don't know why that guy was playing either.
Same thing,
yeah. Now they're playing Iwandi, who's been. I mean, I feel like that team looks 100 times better with them. So. I mean, until Sword Art goes there, I like the dog here. I think IG is very live. I'm a little worried about the new support playing in. So with Lucas out, you can't really blame Lucas. Like, he wasn't really the problem in my opinion. Maybe they're just giving this new kid a chance, but that's the only concern I have here. If Lucas was playing, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna be more on IG than Weibo. But I mean, I don't think IG has any business winning this match. It's just a matter of which Weibo shows up. So I am a little concerned, and I think this could be a slower game, but both teams fit with every stack, like every favorite. So that's something to consider. I'm torn here. If I choose a team, it's going to be Weibo, but I'm going to have some IG for sure.
Yeah, so look, when it comes down to this, I have some very different opinions than you guys. I think the Shy has played fantastic from a League of Legends standpoint, not necessarily from a fantasy. There have been a lot of different situations where, specifically, I can't remember which series it was, but he died like 3 times in 5 minutes as Graves, but he was still able to keep the CS and not fall so far behind. Were all of the deaths his fault? Not necessarily. There was just like a 1 auto difference. That game changes. That series changes. He played really well. And I think On plays very well, too. I think he's a fantastic support. I just don't think he's always a fantastic support for DFS purposes, and that gets conflated. Now, I will say that the line, based on a lot of stats, is very, very wrong here. This should be a lot closer than it is. Some of the stats that you look at for IG, this team is 8th in Dragon Control compared to 13th for Weibo. They're 6th in Herald Control compared to 13th. But one spot that is, really, like, those things are great, but they're 14th in Baron Control versus 6th for Weibo. So you can't count out a team, no matter how bad, shaky the early game is. WE showed us last night, if you can get a Baron, you can get a win. And I just have a hard time believing that the Shy with this revenge game narrative doesn't just absolutely dumpster Zika. Or you're right, he could just absolutely get dumpstered. So this is kind of a spot where I'm going to split. I think I'm leaning towards Weibo to win this series. But I definitely want to have some IG. I think that the consensus on this panel is what a lot of people are going to think. And a lot of people are going to play IG more than any other dog, more than the next one that we'll talk about. And so I think that does make it a little bit interesting to play Weibo gaming. I don't think that they're going to be as owned. I think that the general thought and theory, we talked about Garvy not being owned. The Shy and On are two people that have fantasy upside, but people don't like to play. Javi, why don't you kick us off the last game of the day? We've got Gen G looking to avenge their earlier season 2-0. Is that Moose?
What?
Moose, come on, man. Come on.
I'm popping the bottle, bro.
Mute yourself, man. I always know it's you. I know it's you. I got
this
you.
This is my favorite game. We're
All right, Javi. Let's go ahead and let's kick it off here. We've got KT playing better than they've been playing, or since the last time they beat Gen G. Like, is this team live?
No, I don't think they're live at all. Yeah, I see Corey giving me the eyebrows there. Listen, KT had 6 straight losses until these 3 straight wins, and they beat HLE, LSB, and NS. 3 of the worst LCK teams. So to say that this KT team is playing better and that they are better, I hope people play KT. I'm playing none of them. I think Gen is the best team in the LCK. I think they're going to win the LCK. I really think they're going to win Worlds, personally. Like, I'm coming out here and saying that too. I think a lot of people think that too. But I think this team is just they're great. I don't know why Gen is priced where they are. They're probably, besides T1, this is probably my favorite stack of the night too. I'm going back to double LCK. And I love it here. Like, I don't think, KT ranks towards the top in deaths per loss. I think in total deaths they're 3rd in the LCK as well. I mean, Gen from top to bottom, I love that stack tonight. And I don't think KT's live at all. Like, this is a stand I'm going to take. I love to hedge. I'm not hedging any KT because I believe in Gen that much. Yeah, Corey, I want to hear what your take. You think KT's live? Really? Oh,
I do. Vicla's been a lot better than
he's going against Chovy though. He's going against Chovy. Like,
yeah. Chovy's overrated.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but lane matchups don't matter as much as sometimes people put into it.
Yeah. I don't know. Everybody's talking about the Shy revenge game. Nobody's talking about the Rascal revenge game. Rascal Renekton carry game. And then it's a Life revenge game, a Cuz revenge game from a couple of years ago. I don't know, man.
I don't buy the narrative. Nope.
No, revenge games. I usually like the team against the old player rather than the old player against the team. But I don't know. KT's been on a roll. They might be a little over-owned because of it and how much money they've won people the past few slates. They've been optimal quite often lately. So I probably won't play them, but I do think it's going to be closer than you think.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all the underlying stats and the metrics, Gen G is ahead in almost every single category. KT's not that far behind when it comes to Baron, Herald, and Dragon Control. Just a gold agnostic 2 versus 5. They're not that far behind in these situations. I definitely think that this line is a little bit off, and I would probably want to bet KT, maybe like the +1.5 or something along those lines. I definitely think that it is a situation where you go to Gen G, but I mean, I feel like when you make the Gen G stack, if you go with the 4 stack, you're playing with fire a lot of times because this team seemingly is only optimal when there's COVID concerns surrounding them and they're like 5% owned. They got the C19 tag on them, but they're coming in because there is no clarity to the 10-day quarantine in LCK. Now they're going to the symptomless testing or whatever it is to make sure that, the one team that hasn't been affected by COVID, T1, is not screwed over in the playoffs. And that makes a lot of sense. Moose, you're back. It's your time. I don't get it, man. Like if it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., it doesn't matter. You decide to come on the Cove and you're going to chow down. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I was popping a bottle. And I'm
You had like
snacking,
6
okay?
drinks. I mean, look, if it's not green beer, if it's not
No.
Irish whiskey, I mean, it's not a.
Let me run it back to you guys. There was a slate in the summer of 20 that I loved where Tucson was out and Sowon played support and Smeb played top. And it was the closest KT game with Jen where KT won a narrow 2-1. They scored like crazy. And the Smeb Sowon double top stack 150 Gs. I love that. I love that slate. That was my favorite slate. So this is what ever since that game, KT and Jen have always been close. No matter who's on the team, no matter how many years have passed, KT and Jen always surprise you. Now, mind you, KT actually 2-0 Jen this season. One of 3 losses that Jen took was KT. KT is very live here, and I love this game for everybody because I will never fade this game, and I will never fade this match in the history of matches because something weird always happens. It's either a weird 2-0 for the favorite or a very close, narrow match that goes the distance. And like we said, the characters we have playing now are in this episode of this showdown are just as cool as before. You know, we've got great carries now, I think, because I think Vickle's playing well, like you said, Brewer. And I love the Rascal take. You know, we love Doran. I love Peanut. I love everybody on Jen, but I also love everybody on KT. I think that they're very live, and I will definitely have a KT line in the 3-3-3 for sure.
Moose, it sounds like you have some biases, similar to what Dave
Strong
said he
bias.
didn't have yesterday. You have an affinity to this match, no matter who's in it.
I love it.
Yeah, look, hey, LCK has been optimal almost every single slate for, I don't know, this entire lunar year. And it's not going to be LSB. So we have one of these other 3 teams, and T1's super hard to fit. So unless it's a T1 KT, unless it's a T1 IG, then it's going to have to be like a Genji top or Genji kind of Weibo. Somehow, some way you got to find to get that LCK in so you can get that. It doesn't matter if you win. If you get into Will's EV Bink probability, that's all that matters. Having the great probability, no dupes, you've won from the beginning there. Let's take a look here at. Okay. I guess I thought I had it.
It might be a little inflated though too. On Gen in losses, they have over 16.5 deaths per loss on average. So KT 4-man, if you guys are playing KT, could be sneaky.
Yeah, but keep in mind those losses also came against mostly T1, and those are kind of different types of matches. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely out there. I don't think if you look at any of those numbers that the deaths per loss or the kills per win for any of these teams are that much different, not nearly to the level or extent that some people think that it's like a 5 or a 6 kill difference. It's not. It's a 1 or 2 kill difference typically. The difference is when you look at combined kills per minute, a lot of times LCK is going to be less because they usually play a 6 to 7 minute longer game and have similar scores. Their combined kills per minute, if you're somebody that subscribes to that theory, I'm sorry, it's wrong, and that's why. That's all I'm going to say.
It is wrong. Also, one thing we forgot to note is that Gen has nothing to play for. They locked in the 2nd seed. They can't catch T1, and KT need this win.
There
They
was
are
some
tied
concern.
for 6th.
There was some concern from Gelati that that Genji might play some subs as a result of that, but I think they all have COVID, so we don't have to worry about that. They're running through now. They're getting their immunity for the entire team, so they can progress through the playoffs and possibly Worlds. Or
this is a must win for KT to make playoffs, right?
It is. It is kind of weird that T1 is the only team without COVID issues, right, Moose? That's kind of weird.
Just so surprising to me, man. They're just so good. Oh, man. It's almost like They need to go undefeated for the LCK to get more views.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
No
I mean,
more Sandbox will get in their way.
KT needs to win. If they lose, they can still get in, but I think both Bro and KDF would need to lose. I mean, honestly, I think if KT wins, they pretty much lock themselves into playoffs.
Yeah, it's a
not
winning in.
100%.
It's winning in
but
because
it's pretty
Bro
close.
aren't winning their next game because Bro's playing Damwon and Damwon need to win. So
Yeah.
I think Damwon are going to punch up for that match for sure. So I think that KT, this is a must-win spot for them.
Yeah, exactly. Damwon punches up when they play Bro because Bro is the better team.
Exactly.
So let's hop into this. I mean, Javi, Brewer, do you guys play cash at all? I know Moose does. I know not everybody does.
Yeah, I'm primarily winner take alls right now,
Okay.
and then I hedge in GPPs.
Okay. Well, definitely a little bit different than cash, but not that far off. Javi, what about you? Do you play any cash at all?
Nah, just GPPs, smaller contests mainly. I'll throw in the same lineups in the smaller contests and big GPPs though.
Okay. Well, so Moose, I had some questions from some folks that will remain unnamed. And we went through a couple different cash builds. Do you have one that you're leaning towards? Have you looked at it yet?
Yes, I do. I've already done my cash for tonight.
Okay, so
you can find me under my my alt username, Mr. Moz555. I enter tournaments at the start of as soon as they're up.
So here's the first thing that I think we need to look at, like, and from an odds perspective, from a safety perspective, this T1 test lineup with a Kiera captain looks pretty safe. If they both 2-0, it's okay. I think you can move some of these pieces around. But essentially, you're looking at a support captain. You're looking at a very safe lineup. And this is better on a 5-game slate where you're allowing other people to make mistakes and you think that there are some upsets. Now, we have identified that these other 2 games that are not involved here are the ones that we kind of pinpoint as the ones that we think that there's going to be an upset. Is this a spot where you feel safe going with the Kiera captain, or do you want to do something different where you get the Gen G in there, you get the Weibo, and you get rid of whether it be top or T1?
The way I've looked at it now is, again, because of all of the, the way I break down cash is that, even though it makes me cringe because this is exactly the type of thing where you don't want to play it the way I play it, is you take the biggest favorites and then you mix and match some other people in there to try to make it work so you don't have to play support captains. And in this case, you are definitely going to take a player from one of the games below. So I think you can definitely fit a player from WBG or Gen if you want to go that direction. Personally, my take on the KT Gen game is that Gen don't have anything to play for, and I don't exactly know what's going to happen with that game or at all. So I would personally just roster one player from WBG, and instead play like a 4TS type of deal where you just focus on the fact that LGD gave up a ton of points.
Okay.
Can if you get limited to one player, then you'll be sad. Or you could just play. You could just straight up play TES with Weibo and then just hedge Invictus. You could do that as well. Both of those are totally fine. The optimally, in my head, it tells me to play the. Stop it!
I don't think that's the one that you wanted to pop out there, huh?
No, well, take T1. Take T1 off completely, just to show, right?
What,
so then you will get
Weibo? Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and then you just go. You play TN, captain, or you could play that. Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one. I mean, to give you an idea, so that's 592. That's what that one's projecting at, minus whatever the team score is. This one's 575, and if you go top esports with Gen G, you're looking at 579. So it's a pretty significant difference. If you go with, let's say, these 2 teams and you want that extra safety, you're at a that's all 3 of them. It's 595. That's not a bad lineup there, but you're looking at 586 here. And I like this lineup quite a bit if you're looking for safety, because you are going with Angel. Again, if you're buying into Weibo winning, I think Weibo wins through the top lane, or at least the top lane wins. and the Shy has a decent showing. And you got Huang Fong there. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't want to have Faker in the lineup, but I definitely want Kiera over on. And that's just some of the ways that I would be constructing that. So
Faker's going to dumpster on closer, his old protege.
Yeah, that's my thing is that right now I have Faker in cash because it lets me fit the T1 team slot, which will be a free 55 to 60 points. But unfortunately, Faker's last 4 games have been 60 points. Mm-hmm. It seems like this guy is just allergic to playing fantasy points. It's like this dude, God, he like right now.
He wasn't at the beginning of the split though. That's the difference. He was actually very high scoring, but then all of a sudden he stopped.
Yeah, Faker
is playing like somebody told him that T1 is going to win the rest of their games.
I think the less points you score, the more immune to COVID you are. So.
Well, that explains why the Shy just can't catch it.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at the beginning or throughout the season, he's less than Owner, he's less than Gumi. But if we take this and we change it and we go like pre-Lunar New Year, I think he was he was a lot higher. I think this is where the dip started. But going post-Lunar New Year, looking at these teams and what they have done, Invictus in wins has been the highest scoring team. It's kind of weird, but they have the smallest sample size. T1 is a team that scores well in losses. T1's also a team that gives up a lot. Not a lot of losses there. But I mean, across the board, a lot of these don't have that much disparity. Not enough in any given spot that I'm like, this has to be it. But to a point that was made earlier, I think it was Brewer that said it. Like Huang Fong has not been the guy for this team. This has been one of the original teams, at least this season, that had the mid lane outscoring the ADC when that ADC was a higher scoring position almost across the board. You're starting to see it now as Knight has taken over, as even Chovy, a lot of these guys. Do you think, though, getting away from like a Jinx Aphelios meta kind of fits a little bit more into what Huang Fong wants to do, a little bit more mechanically talented than point and click?
It's tough to say. I don't know. He's kind of a guy who does well in chaos. And since there's no more like level 3 bot lane dives, like he's not getting quite as involved. And then there just aren't, I don't know. It's just been much lower scoring all around this year as far as past LPL. I don't know. It's kind of weird. He and On don't seem to have the greatest synergy.
Yeah, it's strange too. I think one of his strongest champions has always been his Ezreal, and Ezreal is just in a really weird spot right now where you can scale up and get the items, but he just doesn't feel like he is that late game Ezreal that we saw last split, where you got him to 3 or 4 items, you couldn't kill him, and he was going to take over the game unless it was Sven, in which case you were going to be able to kill him. He wouldn't take over the game, and none of that would matter. So we've kind of reached the portion of the show where we've gone over all the games. We've talked about the cash builds. Final thoughts on GPPs or otherwise strong play, strong fade. If you kind of decide that you want to say sandbox, I'm not going to fault you, but it is kind of the weak way out. Javi, why don't you kick it off?
I think with GPPs, I think taking a stand on being less on so top esports, being less on them, it's risky because LGD, all they do is die when they lose. So I just think like Knight and Jackie Love, they're going to be super owned just because of their name. So avoiding potentially that match and focusing on the LCK and focusing on Weibo. I think Weibo is going to go very under-owned, and I think they could bounce back. It's IG. We know they die a lot too. So I'm going to have a ton of Weibo. I'm going to have a ton of Gen. I'm going to have a ton of T1 and then be less on top esports. I'll have some Invictus, not a ton. And I think you guys talked me into maybe some KT. We'll see. I'll think about it. I have to sleep. I have to take a nap on it. Yeah.
All right. Brewer, what are your thoughts?
I'm probably playing a lot of top esports and then hedging quite a bit with LGD. And I might use like a KT team slot to get a better build because top's so expensive. I don't know. I haven't looked at ownership projections or anything yet, but the Weibo IG game might be one that I want to avoid because I think IG could be a chalky underdog that I don't really want to play.
Just play Weibo then. There you go.
Yeah.
Avoid
I don't like
SO.
Honor the Shy, so I'm kind of pigeonholed into like SOFM or Angel.
I mean, I
Small
hate
stack,
SOFM.
baby.
I hate on SOFM, the Shy. So Angel and Juan Fang, really.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe that, like I said, like that, I think that's in the mind of a lot of people. So, I don't know if you get too cute and you decide to roster them. I might, but it's not financial advice. I don't recommend anything. Moose, we know you like Gen G KT. It's your favorite matchup of all time. What else?
Yes, I love this matchup, dude. I love this matchup so much. Yeah, I mean, obviously LSB is the easy one to knock out of this, but this is why I love the slate so much, is because on the outside it looks nasty, but when you really dissect this slate, I love that what is T1 gonna do? What is Top gonna do? What is Weibo gonna do? What is IG gonna do? What is KT gonna do? You start asking yourself questions. There's actually a lot of plays you can make on this slate. It looks nasty at first. Once you get involved with it, it's actually cool. It's like math. Anyways, or meth. One or the other. The point is that you really don't. There's really a lot of possibilities that can happen tonight. Like we've talked about Weibo doing either doing their thing or actually playing for once and scoring, fantasy points. Top esports could definitely live down to their name. We've seen Tian score 60 points in a win and 100 points in a win. We've seen Knight score 80 points in a win. We've seen Jackie score 80 points in a win. So we don't know exactly what these teams are going to do in cash. I'm just playing 4 TS and calling it a day. And, obviously you have to hedge that. So I'm more on the Brewer side of that one. But I think definitely I would almost want to guarantee the fact that I think we will see an LCK team be optimal somehow, because it just feels like with the way the meta has shifted, like we talked about that 1 week, we talked about the meta shifting so much that all the overs and unders have gone down so much that the LCK teams have become optimal now, and basically teams are scoring so much less that LCK teams are actually like performing. Of course, when we said that week, everybody dropped like 60-point games or 60-kill games, so it didn't really matter. But in this case, I really think that you keep it simple in cash and get creative in GPPs. The world is your oyster. All these teams are good. All these teams are playable. People will be on Invictus. People will be on Top. People will be on Weibo. They'll be on KT. They'll be on T1. There's going to be everybody's going to be on everything, and it's going to be. I think the ownerships will be definitely more surprising than people think in terms of how owned these guys are going to be, because of I think pricing will really play a role in that regard. And even then, it's like, man, if you could fit some good T1 players, you might be able to take the slate down, because they're just going to mess around and drop another 120 for their 80 carry for no reason. So
everybody's going to be on. Everybody's going to be on everyone. The world is your oyster. Some real gems came out of that monologue there. Not what I was expecting, but totally okay. I love it. All right, so everybody knows where to find Moose. He's here. He's in Spain. He's in Italy. He's all over the world. Brewer, where can they find you? You've been on a little bit of a heater, not just kind of in league, but you did pretty well in some preseason spring training today. You've been hitting the racing too. I mean, you've just been racking it up.
Yeah, stat correction. A few minutes ago, I just took down spring training, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Twitter, Brewer IPA. I'm in a few different Discords. I'm not as active in Discords as I used to be. Like, not as active anywhere as I used to be, really. Kind of keeping a low profile lately. But if you want to follow along, that's where you'll find me.
All right, fantastic. And Javi, thanks for coming as well. I think most people know where to find you, but in case they don't, let them know.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at jperlozadfs. I help out with all sports. You guys have any questions, just hit me up. You guys know I'm with FTN, but always down to help anybody out if they have any questions. So hit me up.
All right, fantastic. And you guys know where to find me. I'm in the Discord. I'm here every night at 8:30, except for 2-game slates, sometimes on Fridays and maybe on Saturday. But you can usually find me here Wednesday and Thursday, 100% of the time. Depends on the tilt the other days, depends on the drinks. We'll be live tomorrow. I think Will said he's going to be here. He needs a little Cove run good for the MMA. Maybe we'll have Big Kev. Maybe maybe Nathan will find a way to come on tomorrow. Said he can't do it. Who knows? Who knows who the guests are? It's a surprise. Good luck, everybody. I hope the run good helps everybody, but I hope it helps me the most.